Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with the guys from BAEST to talk about Necro Sapiens, out March 5th on Century Media Records. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Very, very good. At the moment, we are we're in a backstage waiting for a sound check for the annually GAFA Awards, which is an award show in Denmark, which is being broadcast on national television.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're playing a live gig.
Yeah, and exciting times. I almost feel like I'm there with you guys. So I hope you guys win an award or something.
We're not able to because we didn't release an album this last year, but we're able to be nominated next year. So hopefully,
we won last year, and the year before that.
We don't need maybe
just steal one when nobody's looking.
Yeah, you know,
exactly.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. Just take one. Nobody's gonna notice the difference. Just put one in your jacket and walk away with it.
Exactly. And who cares about the name on the award?
Oh, you can use a Sharpie. You just cover the name that's on it, and then you put a sticker on top of it with your own name.
That's
the fucking plan.
See, like I'm full of great ideas. At least I think so. So the first question I have for you guys is perhaps two of the easiest questions you'll be asked today. And that is starting off with the title of the record, Necro Sapiens. Where did you guys come up? I think it's an incredible, interesting title. Where did you guys come up with that name?
We were actually, the working title for the track Sa was Necro Sa.
Yeah.
Just to be sure that everyone knew it was about a pretty dead guy, the guy on the cover. But then Simon came up with Necro Sapiens, and then it was too much with Necro Sa as well. So it was just a fun Monday in the rehearsal space, playing with words, and Necro Sapiens sounded funny, and then it sounded good, sounded like something everyone would remember. So we kind of went with that.
So stuck to it, yeah.
And where did the idea for the album artwork came from? Because that is an incredible artwork that you guys put together for this record. Holy shit, that's amazing.
Actually, we had another cover ready by a Danish artist called Christian, but we had to do another one. And I basically talked to Mitchell Nolte while we were in the studio a month before the deadline. And I had the idea about this Sa with his scepter and his ever-changing face and the chainmail and the necklace with eyeballs on it. That's an Entomb reference, by the way. Yeah, so basically Nolte just hit it straight out of the park, because I just made a short text for him about what the idea was, and he came back with this work in, I think, maybe 4 sketches or something.
Yeah, he had a sketch from the start, and then he just worked with the ideas that you gave him. Yeah,
yep.
That's incredible. So as you guys have a chance to digest this record and look at the previous records that you guys have done, what has changed for you in your mind from the first album to this album that perhaps is absolutely obvious to you, but not necessarily obvious to us, the listeners?
I think a lot of courage has evolved. You know, instead of trying to sound death metal, we try to sound like BAEST. Not that we've always tried to do something original and original songs and original riffs, as everything is that we're doing, but this time around we just chose to do some other things that didn't have to be death metal, but just had to be something we enjoyed doing. Like, for example, the melody part in Genesis, the last single. That's a pretty happy melody in death metal, but it works in the grand picture, and I think that's the main difference for me.
I think we've matured a lot, and we've
matured as players as well.
As players, yeah, but also like in the songwriting progress as well. I think is very important, and has been. I don't know if to say more focused, but more aware, I guess, in that terms.
Yeah, we had a lot more time this year, unfortunately, but that turned out as a good thing for us. Yeah.
You perhaps look at each album as a stepping stone or a step in the right direction as far as where the band was and where the band wants to go. Do you guys feel like this album is not just a step, but perhaps a leap forward?
it's a leap forward considering the songwriting and the method of putting it on tape. You know, everything was done live, and everyone playing at the same time in the studio, and all the songs were written with everyone in the rehearsal space. So this time it's really a group effort. Everything is a group effort, but this time it's really intense group effort.
Yeah,
like everyone was involved. So that's a like a dream scenario.
Yeah,
it's not often that death metal bands get 6 months off to do a record, because you have to tour all the time to make any kind of money. So we were lucky but unlucky.
Oh, lucky but unlucky. That's a great way to put it. And like a good example is like the second album was kind of fragmented. Everybody was recording like for themselves. For example, the drums did like a week or a couple of days for itself, and then we waited a couple of weeks.
Me and Sebastian did the drums.
Yeah,
that took 2 or 3 days.
Yeah,
and then me and Lasse when did the guitars.
Yeah,
I did the bass with Moody, and then you and I did the
vocals. Yeah,
but Moody was having a kid, Lasse was having a kid.
Exactly.
Our manager was having a kid as well, almost at the same time, and
we were between tours.
Yeah,
I was out traveling. Yeah, at that time, so it was a quite hectic time for us. But like we put out a kick-ass album as well. But I think in terms of the recordings now, it's more focused, and I think it's more stable, kind of. But also it's comfortable, and that makes room for some good quality fucking death metal.
Is this something that you guys are going to try to take forward with you? I know once the world goes back to normal and you start touring again, it's going to be hard to find that time that you guys had this time around. But is this something that you're going to do the best that you can possibly do to give yourselves that time, considering how great this album turned out to be?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to do a recording, like layering recording again, because this just works so well, and we're so lucky that we rehearse every week, everyone together. We still live in the same town.
Yeah.
So we're going to take full advantage of that energy and that method of writing songs. Instead of everyone writing their own parts and bringing it together in the studio, we're going to do everything as a band. And maybe this time around, it's record number 3. The sales are going really great. The tours are going to be great. So maybe this time around, it's time to take another leap into the life of being a professional musician. So maybe we're going to take that chance. At some point, you have to try. Maybe it's this time. We'll see.
You guys mentioned that the previous record had some challenges with the births of the kids of several musicians. There was a lot of things going on. What was the most challenging aspect of making this album, Necro Sapiens?
Working with the disappointment of, for example, postponing a tour with Phil Anselmo, or canceling 2 of our own tours. I think we canceled 75 shows. Twice or something, and moved some Danish shows. That was the biggest Danish shows we were going to do at all. Sold out shows 2 nights in a row in Copenhagen. That never happens for a death metal band in Denmark. We had to postpone those. We still haven't played them. So the hardest part was not knowing when everything was going to reopen, and we still don't know. But we found a joy, and we found refuge in each other and rehearsing as much as we could. So I think the band has kind of found itself again. We still have shit tons of fun.
We're kind of working horses. We'll find our way, and it's about like changing focus at that time, and adapting to the circumstances. And fortunately, we have a stable fundament to do that as well. And there's no reason to panic, so it's just on directing your work and your focus. It's
almost, there's no point on spinning your wheels on things that you can't control. Might as well just put your efforts and your energy on the things that you can control.
Exactly.
I like that attitude. Getting deeper into the structure of the album, I felt like this was an album that had exponential growth to it. From the beginning all the way to the end. And when I say this, sometimes you have to be careful with your words, right? But I don't mean that the last song is better than the first song. I just feel like the album, there's a sense of a path, and that path doesn't go in a flat line. You know what I mean? Like it kind of takes you slowly.
I know what you mean.
So do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I think as the record went from presenting the whole universe with Genesis, Necro, Sapiens, and Abattoir, the songs kind of took a more brutal direction because, you know, instead of being a presentive song, it was about a pretty brutal event. Or, for example, Towers of Suffocation. That's a pretty brutal title, and it's a pretty brutal subject in this story. So the song had to be pretty intense. And then we ended up with the Sea of Vomit, and that had to be like heavy, like really fucking heavy. And that was the idea from the beginning. The idea was we always have the concept ready before we start writing the songs, basically, and then we just succeeded.
It was kind of natural. How do you call it? Sequel.
Yes,
like
sequencing. I think
sequencing, of the album. Because we had an idea with the concept and the whole storyline through the album, and the guys could work out from that strain, and
we had a lot of the song titles ready before any riffs. So you know, when we have a title that says Meat Hook Massacre, you're not gonna write a Genesis melody over that. You're gonna write something pretty sick. And Purification Through Mutilation was the first title we had, and we didn't have any riffs until it was maybe the second last one we finished. And that had to be brutal as well. You know, so that's Genesis. That was a title we had as well ready. And I think just Genesis felt more melodic than it felt brutal, so that's how it ended up.
Yeah, I feel like some bands, like black metal bands or atmospheric bands, have different shades of gray. You guys on this album have different shades of heavy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's nice. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, and the whole album is heavy. It all comes down to how heavy is it from a track to another track, because it's brutal and heavy all the way through. It's just kind of you just kind of have different approaches to how you create that heaviness.
Yeah.
The heaviest part for me is definitely the outro of Meat Hook Massacre. That's just insanely
beefy,
heavy.
It's goddamn beefy. For me, it's Tsar.
Well, I was going to say that. I was going to say that. That's one of my favorite tracks. I have to stop you guys right now because the opening of the vocals on Tsar, I was like, what is happening at this track right now? Like, you know, this is going on as like the Energizer Bunny. It's like the batteries are not running out. Like, what happened there? Like, did you just feel like you had to go on?
I don't know. I was actually having a hard time writing that. I was putting it away and then trying to look at it and putting it away from time to time. And I was a bit insecure how I would like, but there was one like hook line, the start hook line, I was quite certain about. It had to be like this, and it also made like the sentences had to be stretched kind of. So I was and then like I think it was one of the last days in the studio, I was fooling around and doing some weird noises, guttural voices, kind of like throat singing or some how do you call it, throat singing. And then we were like, let's try this, and then we recorded it, and it was like,
it was sick.
It works.
Yeah. When that song came on, I had to kind of like, I took one of these, like, whoa, this is like a blast. Like I could only imagine that song live, you bending over to the crowd and just kind of like obliterating everybody in front of you. And I was like, wow, this song is going to be absolutely balls to the wall once you guys get to perform live. I was blown away, and I only had headphones, so I was just absolutely blown away. It became immediately one of my favorite tracks on the album. Immediately, I didn't even have to listen to the rest of it. It was just like, this track is it. This is a hit.
That's fucking awesome,
man.
Yeah.
It was the one that felt least like a hit, you know. That's because the whole structure and all the riffing.
It's more atmospheric.
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah,
and complicated. So that's nice to hear.
It's very complicated. I'm a bit insecure about like the live, but you'll be fine.
Oh, I think you'll be fine. I think it's one of those songs that, you know, like the people's face is just going to melt. You know, like those dogs when they stick their head outside of a window of a car when you're driving. It's one of those, man. Exactly. It's going to be absolutely bananas. I love that track. It was a song that hit me really hard because that intro, it becomes the calling card of what the song becomes. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's impossible for you to forget that track once you listen to it once.
That's fucking sick.
It's fucking sick. I'm glad we put it down on an album so you can listen to it over and over.
Me too. And how do you, we're talking about different shades of heaviness. How are you guys able to create an album that's this heavy, but at the same time, you're really able to understand all the different elements that are going into it? Like, you can hear the bass, you hear the guitars, you hear the drums. It's not murky. Do you know what I mean? It's not like heavy, but not really well defined. I found that you guys created a heavy album, but you could hear all the different pieces of the puzzle.
I think it's a result of us playing live, first of all, and in combination with a great fucking producer. Andreas has done a great job. We've worked with him since the first EP, and he just understands our sound and is just as much a part of the voyage with us.
I think it's also like everyone in the band really loves like classic rock, Dio, Iron Maiden, Rush, Deep Purple. I really think that Necro Sapiens is a Deep Purple death metal record in some ways.
Yeah, in some way.
It wanted to sound organic, wanted to sound real. So there's no triggers, there's no cheating, there's no nothing, and that makes it sound real. I guess.
Is the sound on the album driven by that quality of sound, the quality of all the elements coming together, or do you guys feel like there's one thing that's kind of the driver behind the steering wheel as far as this record is concerned?
I think for me personally, whenever we rehearse, I really enjoy when Sebastian, the drummer, does he kind of what's it called? Comes up with different types ways to play songs that are already done. You know, when it's a especially good concert, he does some new stuff on songs that are 3 years old. And this time around, when writing the record, he was able to like do these things while putting the drums down in the studio. And that's an amazing moment for me. And that I think it really shows on the record that there's some intuitive moments that just felt good and sound good. It's not thought out in a way, it's just done by an amazing musician. So that's, for me, that's like the main steering wheel of the record is these death metal drums that are still like super classic drums, I guess.
Yeah kind of progressive.
Yeah, and of course when Simon does his vocals and you can hear every word he does, even though he's growling like a maniac, that's also pretty nice.
And that takes me to my next point, which is the vocals. You obviously cannot sing in terms of in a melodic perspective because the music itself is very aggressive, so that brings something out of you. But how much do you also pull out of the lyrical content of the tracks to inspire your approach on a song-by-song basis?
Nizar had to sound really big, and epic, because he's an epic
and
person.
Kind of chanting as well, because it's for me, that song was, I was kind of drawing a picture of kind of what do you say, kind of a sermon, if you could say so. And I tried to focus on that kind of atmosphere that a sermon, I don't know, there are lots of sermons that creates a certain atmosphere, and I guess I just used my intuition pretty much, and I don't know if I can define my way to. I also think a lot of it is in collaboration with, for example, Svend, because he has a lot of great ideas lyrically and how to put the words, and cool words you can actually put in to do some punch. And then I listen a lot to the music as well, and I strive not to do the same thing as the music do. I try to work against it, maybe, if you know what I mean. I don't want to follow the guitar. Sometimes I write something, and then I have an idea, and then Svend, for example, says, don't work with the guitar, try to work against the guitar, don't do the same pattern as the guitar. And then I try something else out, and yeah, at some point it just fits in.
At some point everything just seems like it's in the right place at the right time.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's what you get when you really rehearse a lot.
Yeah,
together, everyone.
Yeah.
So everybody takes like a little bit of an organic approach to the record. You're not like holding your own space and like, you know, I'm doing this, you do your guitar thing. I don't tell you how to play your guitar. You don't tell me how to sing my vocals. You guys allow yourselves to work to create the best songs possible, regardless of where the ideas are coming from.
No one has to outshine the other one. You know, me and Lasse take turns doing the leads, and we take turns doing the cool melody parts in the guitars. You know, everyone just want to have the song be a really fucking great song, and that's the goal in the band, to write great songs.
I think you guys did that with this record. There's no doubt.
Thank you.
There's no doubt. This album from top to bottom, when you look at the title, when you look at the ideas behind the lyrics, when you look at the graphics, the cover artwork, the progression that the record has, I mean, this album is, if you're using a sports analogy, this is a goal in the 90th minute. This is a Michael Laudrup goal in the 90th minute.
Laudrup?
I had to throw the Michael Laudrup in there somehow.
Of course. Not forget his little brother,
Brian.
who's also a legend. Brian.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, you know, it's you can't talk about one without talking about the other.
No, exactly.
That's the same base.
Thank you very much for your time today. All the best at the award show. Enjoy the performance. You don't get many of those these days, unfortunately.
No.
So enjoy every minute of it. Thank you very much for your time. It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you guys, and I hope to see you guys on the road at some point in time soon, so I can hear that Czar live and get my face blown away.
Yes,
We'll hope to do that, man.
we'll hope to do that.
Nice talking to you.
All right, take care, guys. All the best.
Here. Cheers.
Take care.